Good morning, class 10th, and welcome again after a short break in this geography class. Now I'll start chapter 4, agriculture, as chapter 2 and 3. Okay, they are not part of your syllabus, so I'll start chapter 4, agriculture. I'm sure you are familiar with this term, agriculture. Okay, let us see it again and refresh your knowledge. So what is the meaning of agriculture? The word agriculture is derived from ager means field and cultura means growing or cultivation. Now these words are Latin words. So that means agriculture is derived from two Latin words. The ager and the cultura means field, cultivation or growing. Okay, so the agriculture is an art and science which deals with the cultivation of crops as well as domestication of animals. Agriculture is the most significant activity of the human beings. There are three types of economic activity that you know: primary, secondary and tertiary activity. All these activities are helpful in transforming the natural resources into the finished products. Now, agricultural activities are also called the primary economic activities. They include all those activities connected with the extraction and production of natural resources. So, apart from agriculture, fishing, forestry, poultry, animal husbandry, gathering, okay, they all are primary economic activity. Agriculture plays a very significant role in our life. For cultivation of crops, one has to select soil, work on it, plow the land, sow the seeds, provide water to the fields as irrigation, look after the growth of plants, and finally harvest the crops. All of these agricultural activities require a permanent staying at one place. In this way, agriculture helped early human beings to lead a settled life. Therefore, it is also known as sedentary lifestyle. Okay. Now even today, more than half of the world's population is directly and indirectly involved in agricultural activities. While two-thirds of India's population is still dependent on agriculture, the development of agricultural activities depends on various factors. Okay. Now India is referred to as agrarian country, agricultural country. Let us see the importance of agriculture and why India is called as an agrarian country. So these are the points I have written here. First is about two-thirds, that is 60 to 65% of India's population depends on agriculture for its livelihood. Now in India, other sectors have failed to generate much of employment opportunity, the growing working population. Okay. Now next is it provide food, raw material for industries and some product for export. Due to excessive pressure of population, labor surplus, economies like India and rapid increase in demand for food production increases at a fast rate. The existing levels of food consumption in these countries are very low, and with a little increase in the capita income, the demand for food rise steeply. Okay, that means it can be stated that the income elasticity of demand for food is very high in developing country. Therefore, unless agriculture is able to continuously increase its marketed surplus of food grains, a crisis is like to emerge. Okay. Next is, it ensures food security for the country. Okay. And fourth is, it have influence on internal and external trade and commerce. Now Indian agriculture plays a vital role in internal and external trade of the country. Internal trade in food grains and other agricultural products help in the expansion of service sector. Contribution in government budget. Now, right from the first 5-year plan, agriculture is considered as a prime revenue collecting sector for both the central and state budgets. Okay. However, the governments earn huge revenue from agriculture and its allied activities like cattle rearing, animal husbandry, poultry farming, fishing. Okay, Indian Railway, along with the state transport system, also earn a handsome revenue as freight charges for agricultural products, both semi-finished and finished ones. Need of labor force. A large number of skilled and unskilled laborers are required for the construction works and in other fields. This labor is supplied by Indian agriculture. Okay, Indian agriculture has a cost advantage in several agricultural commodities in the export sector because of low labor cost. Okay, and self-sufficiency in input supply as well. So these are some of the importances of agriculture in India. Okay, now next is the types of Indian farming. Now, as we know that farming is one of the oldest economic activity in our country. Different regions have different methods of farming. However, all these methods have significantly evolved over the years with changes in weather and climatic conditions, technological innovations, and socio-cultural practices. Okay, so basically we have two types of farming methods. Okay, in general, subsistence farming and commercial farming, and they are very different from each other. Subsistence farming is mainly practiced by the poor farmers. Okay, in a densely crowded area. In this farming, farmers grow crop mainly for self-sustenance to fulfill the family need. And there are subtypes of subsistence farming like primitive subsistence farming and intensive subsistence farming. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, that is primitive subsistence farming. Let us see what are the features of primitive subsistence farming. Now, this type of farming is still practiced in some parts of our country. They are generally practiced on small areas of land which uses very old indigenous tools like hoe, dhow, digging sticks, etc. Okay, they generally are family or community centered farming. That means a family or the local community of Indian farmers are engaged in this farming method who use the output for their own consumption. Okay. Now this is the most natural method where the growth of crops but dependent on the rain, heat, okay, depends generally upon monsoon rainfall for irrigation. They don't have irrigation facilities. They depend upon the monsoon rainfall and they do not add the fertilizers and pesticides. They depend upon the natural fertility of the soil and also on other environmental conditions. Now, this type of farming sometimes is known as a slash and burn agriculture or the shifting cultivation. Okay, so let's see what are the features of shifting cultivation. Now, in slash and burn agriculture, a plot of land is cleared by cutting, clearing and burning the trees. That is slash and burn. Okay. The ashes of the burnt trees are then mixed with soil and different types of crops are grown. When this land loses its fertility, the farmers move to another plot. The previous one is left abandoned. Heavy rainfall and thick vegetation are the main characteristics of these areas. Now there are some crops which are mainly grown in India in this type of farming. The potatoes, maize, in other parts of the world could be yam and cassava, okay, are the main crops. And this type of agriculture is mainly done by the tribal people living in the forest, okay, mainly living in the tropical forest, okay. Now because no fertilizers are used for cultivation, the primitive subsistence methods yield low production, not very high production. Okay. So these are the different names of shifting cultivation in India. Okay. In most of the northeastern states like Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, this farming method is called Jhuming farming or Jhum farming. In Manipur it is called Pamlu. Deepa it is called in Chhattisgarh, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Bewar or Dahiya it is called in Madhya Pradesh. Podu or Penda in Andhra Pradesh. Pamadabi or Koman or Bringa in Odisha. It is called Kumari in Western Ghats. Walray it is called in southeastern Rajasthan. It is called Khil in Himalayan region or Himalayan belt, and in Jharkhand it is called Kurua. Now apart from these names in India, they also have some international names. Okay, like in Mexico it is called Milpa, also in Central America. Conuco it is called in Venezuela. Roca in Brazil. Mosole in Central Africa. Ladang in Indonesia and Ray, R-A-Y, Ray in Vietnam. Okay, so these are some names, international and national names of shifting cultivation. So this ends the features of the primitive subsistence farming. Okay, and this is also the end of today's class. Thank you.